Do you think McCarthy would be a good fit in New England with brand new head coach Gerard Mayo?
I think it's interesting now that McCarthy's getting so much press and getting so much hype that has moved him up into being one of the top now four quarterbacks that are available in this draft. Caleb Williams, I think, will go 1. I think that Jalen Daniels is going 2 to Washington. That makes the Patriots have a big decision to make. Do they take the best player in the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr., or do they pick one of those 2 quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy or Drake May? And personally, I think they should take the best player in the draft. I think they should go with Harrison. But my gut tells me that that's probably not going to happen now, and I think they will go for a quarterback. If they're pushing really hard for McCarthy, good chance it's going to be him. If it were me, and the more I've read about the quarterbacks and the more I've been listening to what's been talked about, I would go with May. If you were desperate, you wanted to go for a quarterback, I'd go with Drake May. For some of the reasons I talked about when we talked about McCarthy being an interest of the Giants. He's been in systems that had great players. He's not. And that reminds me of Mac Jones. He hasn't faced a situation where the offensive line is a sieve, and you don't have any time to throw the ball. Although he is tops when he's outside, when the play breaks down, and he's outside the pocket and he throws. He has a 71% completion percentage. But who's he going to throw it to on the Patriots? They haven't got any receivers that can separate. So I think he's going to. I think it's a whole different situation there with the Patriots. It's going to be a tough offense again in 2024 because you don't fix all of that in one season. The wide receivers the Patriots have, right? So far they re-signed Kendrick Bourne.
I think that's a great signing.
Yeah, that's good. But and he was Mac Jones's #1 receiver, go-to guy. But again, he had trouble separating. It wasn't like he was open all the time, and he didn't have that great of stats. They have Pop Douglas, who I like. I think is good, but he's a slot receiver. Really, he's not.
He's not going to line up wide and start burning people.
Yeah, he doesn't have that kind of burning speed. He is a good player, though. I give him some credit. And who else have they got besides those 2 guys? Well, who else is out there? They don't have a tight end.
I mean, you want me to say him? I'll say him. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, well, I said, who else is there?
Hunter. They brought back Hunter Henry.
Yeah. So, Drake May, a physical specimen.
That's true.
Right? 6'4".
Yep.
He could take the punishment. He's got great athletic skills. I think I might go with him over if they're desperate for a quarterback. I think I'd go with him over McCarthy, and that would mean McCarthy would be there for the Giants.
I would say, when it comes to the Patriots and JJ McCarthy, what are they looking for? Because their system has been very different since the last year of Brady, where Josh McDaniels had Brady's system. Everything was lined beautifully to how Brady liked to play. And then on the fly, late in the offseason, they had to go sign Cam Newton and figure out how to do a more mobile playbook. And that season, while Cam Newton started off pretty well, the rest of the season, there was the shock against the Baltimore Ravens beating them, but it wasn't a great season. It really, the best thing about that was Cam Newton was one of the top rushing touchdown leaders in the NFL that year. And then you draft Mac Jones, and that's supposed to be the answer. I think he is the only quarterback with 70% completion percentage, 40 touchdowns, and 4,500 yards in a single college season. Some crazy number like that. He's maybe one of 2 or the only quarterback in college football history to do that. But he also had phenomenal talent. And the Patriots, that first year, they didn't have, we're not talking Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. They didn't have all these types of talents, but with Josh McDaniels, it looked pretty good. He had a great season. We're talking about a passer rating higher than Tom Brady and Josh Allen, a higher completion percentage than Patrick Mahomes and all these top quarterbacks. He played very well. And then coaching changes did not help, and, we started to see fractures in relationships and lack of communication between the head coach and Mac Jones. Now, this is a situation that's interesting because, like I said, I believe JJ McCarthy is a system quarterback, and the numbers speak very true to that. Michigan was a ground and pound style offense primarily, with JJ McCarthy being a supportive piece. Look at the national championship game, 170 yards. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards both had tremendous, they had very, very good games. JJ McCarthy, his college career, 155 passing yards on only 17 attempts per game. You're not really depending on him. The Patriots offense, Ramondre Stevenson was really good his rookie year. Then, due to injuries and just due to lack of production, he didn't look the same his sophomore season. So you don't have a top running back like a Christian McCaffrey or a Saquon Barkley or a Josh Jacobs. Ramondre Stevenson's an okay running back, but he's not going to be a guy who you're going to game plan for and say, okay, we have to fully eliminate the run like you would with any of those top running backs in the NFL. So you're going to need to rely on JJ McCarthy more. And I think, honestly, Jaden Daniels is the pick if he's available at number 3. And this is where we get into the conversation of, if he's not there, what do the Patriots do? I think if because of the situation, because of your team, I think if Jaden Daniels is not there at number 3, I would trade with the Vikings, let them get JJ McCarthy. You could draft other Michael Penix, although I don't love his injury history. For me personally, trade back far enough. At 23, you could potentially get him. Or if you decide at 11, I'd go get Bo Nix. Personally, his experience and the fact that he's dealt with adversity. I believe he's played 5 seasons. He's had 5 different offensive coordinators each of those seasons and several head coaches along his entire college career. So that adversity is already present with the Patriots because it's a brand new defensive coordinator. It's a long-time offense coordinator, but brand new for the Patriots. They actually have a title of GM now. That's not the head coach. Now a first-time head coach that was within the system of the Patriots and played for the New England Patriots years ago. I would trade back if Daniels is not there. Daniels will be my first pick. Trade back if he's not there. Get an experienced quarterback. I believe he's, 24, 25 years old. You have that experience already there. You have a guy who in college, nothing was perfect. He didn't start off very well. I believe he started at Auburn and it didn't work out very well. He went to Oregon. All of a sudden, he's popping off with receivers that probably are not going to go at the top of the draft and could be 2nd, 3rd, and maybe even 4th round picks instead of an Ohio State guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. or Brian Thomas Jr. or Xavier Worthy. Any of these guys that are going to go top of the draft. Bo Nix had to deal with what he had there. We're talking about 2nd, 3rd, maybe even 4th round guys, which the Patriots, they have 6th round guys and guys who are broken. And then Kendrick Bourne, who I think really right now currently is the brightest shining star they have. That's what I would not go McCarthy. He hasn't needed to be depended on, and in the Patriots offense, that's what's going to happen.
Well, what about Drake May?
I think Drake May is going to fall. I don't like him personally.
Why?
I think you look at the scouting reports and you compare them to what the Patriots have already had. Now, unfortunately, I don't have them right in front of me, but basically what the scouting report said was tries to extend plays and then throws a head-scratching interception. Stays in the pocket too long holding the ball, stares at his first read and locks into that read and only that read, gets confused if the coverage changes post-snap. That's literally what the Patriots have had for the past 2 seasons in Mac Jones. No. If you want here's the thing. If you want a slightly better arm than what Mac Jones had, but still some of the same massive negative traits, draft Drake May.
And what about taking the best player in the draft and Marvin Harrison?
I
don't think Jalen Daniels is going to be there at number 3. I agree. If he is, then I think that's a no-brainer. You take him.
Right.
And trading down, maybe that makes some sense. I don't know. We'll see. But if Marvin Harrison, why wouldn't you take Marvin Harrison, the best player in the draft?
Because I don't want Bailey Zappi or Jacoby Brissett throwing him the football. I want a quarterback who's, I think Brissett did a very, very impressive job of filling in for when Deshaun Watson was suspended. And even when Sam Howell played horrible and he got benched, Jacoby Brissett played very well. And questioning whether or not Sam Howell will be benched for Brissett. So, and then if you don't want to go with Brissett, you have Bailey Zappi, who I don't think is a good quarterback, period. He's just not good. If you want to do an experiment and say how bad could the Patriots get, then yes, start him. Start Bailey Zappi. We're going to go, 5-12? 6-11, maybe, if you really want to. If they have some lucky wins there.
I don't think they'd go that high. Probably, maybe they go win four games again, and then they're right up there at the top again, and they pick a quarterback next year.
You could, and I think honestly that's not a horrible idea, but I think Patriots fans, and because you're the New England Patriots, you've won 6 Super Bowls in this century. You have to start winning games at this point. And the only way you can do that is being stable in the quarterback position. And let's say the Vikings trade up to number 3. Let's say you get the 11 and 23 pick. You can get a first-round receiver and a quarterback in the same round, in the same draft. And you have all those other picks that you have in the draft to rely on to build up depth at offensive line, which you desperately need. Connor McDermott should not be your starting left tackle. He should not be. So Calvin Anderson should not also be on your starting lineup at a tackle. If he has to be, he has to be. But I would put Michael Wenu at starting right tackle. So for me, if Jaden Daniels is not there, trade back, because you can get, a lot of teams are very hungry for a starting quarterback. And one team in particular who needs a quarterback unless they want to roll with Sam Darnold. There's 2 first-round picks in this draft that could fill 2 major holes that you haven't filled. You could argue at those exact positions since 2007 when Randy Moss was there. And maybe A.D. Mitchell.
So you think that the
Texas
Patriots could get both first-round picks of Minnesota?
Yeah. Oh, for the number 3 pick, you better be getting
both first-round picks.
Right, and my guess is you won't get the plethora of 2025 picks and maybe 2026 picks because you'll have the 2 first rounds and then maybe get a second or a third next year.
Depends on who's available at number 3. If it's a quarterback that the Vikings like, they'll probably make that pitch.
Supposedly the Vikings love Drake May. And if we go with what a lot of people are thinking, Jaden Daniels goes 2 to the Commanders. It's a perfect situation for you to trade back. If you don't love Drake May, you have the number 3 overall pick. If you don't love a quarterback, do not draft him.
But don't you think that it's possible that Drake May could be there at number 11?
I'd be shocked.
Who's going to take him?
I'd be very, very shocked.
Who's going to take him? The Giants will take McCarthy. Caleb Williams will go first. Daniels 2.
Well, that's the thing. The Giants could go lineman, quarterback, or receiver. And that's a major question mark. But up until then, the Jets are looking to trade back, which we're going to talk about next. Chicago's not going to go quarterback again. Atlanta's not going to go quarterback. They just got Kirk Cousins on a 4-year deal.
So Drake May will probably be there at 11.
He could, but you cannot bank on that. Because who knows? The Broncos might trade up. The Raiders might trade up.
That's true.
And even then, because the Jets are looking to trade back, the Broncos, and you have the 11th pick, the Broncos or the Las Vegas Raiders could trade to the Jets spot and take Drake May from you, the pick right before you decide you want him.
That's probably a possibility, a high possibility.
So it's risky. It's very, very risky to do because if Jaden Daniels there and you want him, you take him. You don't have the privilege unless you trade back into the first round to get a top-tier receiver. People don't like Bo Nix for whatever reason. He didn't play. Yeah, he wasn't, top tier like Caleb Williams. But his experience means something. He had a pretty good year this year. He's fought through adversity at college. OC after OC, head coach after head coach.
I don't see him in the first round.
Wow. Okay. Well, our mock drafts for the next 3 weeks are going to be very, very fascinating then. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.